right, welcome Buddy Book Club. I'm Dylan, here with the only man I want to share a meal of baby pit vipers and cockroaches with, Keith. What's up, buddy?
Would you be able to handle the initiation process?
Absolutely not. We'll get into that for sure.
Okay, all right, okay.
Here at the Buddy Book Club, we're breaking down some bestsellers, and this week we'll be discussing Morning Star, the third and final installment in the Red Rising trilogy. It's actually like the Red Rising saga, because now there are more books, but either way, it's by Pierce Brown. If you'd like to recommend a book for us to read or reach out to us about any past episodes, you can visit our website, buddybookclub.com, or sign to our DMs on Twitter or Instagram, Buddy Book Club Podcast. You can listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you hear podcasts, so please download, give us a 5-star review, follow us on social channels. Be terrible in your review. I don't care. As long as it's 5 stars, the feedback's fun. So why not? We're finishing a trilogy. It's not something we do very often here at the Buddy Book Club.
No.
I think we finished Mistborn, and I think that's it. Granted, we've started Dune, we've started Ender's Game. There's a bunch of other ones I know. But you know what? When it came to Pierce Brown, we decided we need to finish it, especially in preparation for our Harry Potter series. So, we wanted to get some series under our belt before that. I think we did it here. Keith, stock up for Morning Star. What do you got?
Yeah, stock up. Opening the yearbook?
Oh, we don't do that. We close the yearbook here.
I know you're fond of saying close the yearbook. Every time I hear you say that, I laugh. Did you come up with that?
No, absolutely not.
You should have just said yes. Or I'm going to cut that. Yeah, you did. Okay, perfect.
I love it whenever you're talking, especially now, we're in our late 30s, and someone's talking about like their high school football days or something like that. It's like, close the yearbook, buddy.
That's a perfect segue because that's literally what's happening in this book on many occasions. They reference the Institute and the relationships formed there. Like, the only reason Pax's dad even likes Darrow in any way is because of the Institute. He was like an ally with him in there. So every single thing is referenced is tying back to the Institute. And then what's funny is this is basically like being in the Super Bowl and you're playing the highest level. Like they're in a world war or galactic war. Yeah. With millions and millions of people dying. And they're like referring back to like high school rivalries. They're like, remember that time we were in the, they keep on bringing it back, which is real. That would happen. Yeah. I still think so. But I do think they maybe should they close the yearbook once in a while and focus a little bit more on the situation at hand and not like those allyships we had in the Institute, We're so meaningful.
Yeah, but
anyway, I thought that was kind of funny.
Unlike the championship game or whatever in Remember the Titans or Any Given Sunday or whatever you want to pick out for a sports thing, Lilith or Vixis or one of them, like they murdered Leah. Like that happened at the Institute. There was murder and there was rape and there was terrible, terrible things happening at the Institute. So I can understand.
But that's happening all around them right now also.
Yeah, but I can understand a little bit of lingering PTSD. I'm never going to argue the fact of someone should close the yearbook, and it would have been awesome if Pierce Brown consulted us and somehow worked that into the script. Like when Cassius and Darrow are just sitting there watching old movies, and Mustang should walk in and be like, close the script, guys. There are people being killed in space right now. Like, there's shit that needs to get done.
Although, I did appreciate Severo being like, you got tortured and we're in a black hole for a year, Darrow. Close the yearbook, bud. It's over, I was like, Jesus. He was like, come on, we need you back to normal, which I kind of agreed with, honestly.
Yeah. It was time to move past that, Darrow, which I'm not going to talk about it at all, so maybe we'll just talk about it right here. Darrow spending 9 months locked away in a box. I don't know if it's possible to come out of that with any semblance of sanity.
No, yeah.
Like you're getting fed through a tube or something, and I don't even know how he was going to the bathroom. I think he kind of briefly discussed it, but...
Yeah, day 2, I would have been hitting my head against the thing, killed myself. I'd be like, I've been in here for 6 months. It'd be like 8 hours in. I'd be like, I can't do it anymore. I'm out. So
reciting full novels in his head, which... I don't know how you could possibly do that. He's obviously got a bigger brain than I. But yeah, I think any study done on solitary confinement is like, it's one of the worst things you can do to a human being. It legitimately makes them go crazy. So not only like the muscle atrophy and whatnot, but the actual mental side. I don't know how he survived. But, Darrow's a different guy. He's got another level, another gear that we don't have. Mm-hmm. My first stock up is hazing. So in general, hazing is definitely, the stock is pretty low in our society. I think most institutions now frown upon hazing as opposed to just turning the other way, whatever the case is, and not paying attention to it. But In this story, we talked about the Howler initiation last time around, but we didn't know what it was. And now we do know. I totally forgot that this was part of it. So we get a behind the scenes of the Howler initiation, and boy, is it a doozy. So you get jumped while naked trying to shower peacefully. Jumped and like beat up. So it's very much like a jump in the gang world. I think that's what they call it, a jump in. Then you're forced to drink a bottle of booze. You're forced to eat a bucket of baby pit vipers and cockroaches with your fellow initiates. So it sounds terrible and pointless, as does hazing. But actually, it has a meaning behind it. It's meant to break you down so badly that you can't get up on your own, and you need the help of one of your fellow Howler brother and sisters to get you on your feet. It's that simple. It's like Victra and Darrow, who are a couple of the biggest, baddest gold teenagers in the solar system, can't get up on their own, and they need a helping hand. And that's what it's all about. You always got your Howlers at your back. Like, when you're down, they're going to pick you up. So I appreciated that aspect, and it put a little twist on hazing for me.
Although I think that's how all hazing starts. It's like, hey, we're going to break them down to build them back up. And then, like, the next thing you know, you're doing like the elephant walk, So it's I think that's how it all starts, and then somehow progresses to humiliation and
degradation. Sure. Yeah, elephant walk. I never understood. But hey, maybe you just got to support.
That wasn't hazing. I did that.
That's about supporting
obviously.
your brethren, You're physically supporting them. So
right,
that's
of course,
what it's all about. What else do you have for stock up?
Goodwill Hunting, stock up. I mean, this will always be a stock up for two good Boston boys. I'm sure you caught the seed. I think you can say it's not your fault once. You can say it twice. But once you hit them with the it's not your fault the third time, like, come on, Pierce. Come on, man.
Yeah.
We come on. We all know what's going on here. So just for those that didn't catch that, but I think it's like one of the funerals. Maybe it was Rogues, but Mustang comes up to Darrow. It's not your fault. And he's like, come on. It's like, it's not your fault. It's the exact same scene from Goodwill Hunting. I thought that was kind of hilarious. And then when you also think about it, their relationship, Darrow's and Mustang's, is kind of like Will and Skylar's. I had to look up her name, Skylar, the love interest. Mustang is kind of this well-to-do, gold-rich person, but her family is dead, and, definitely would give all that up in order to see her family again, right? That's what Skylar's whole arc was. And then there's that secret between them where the reason that Will can't commit is because he has all these childhood trauma and all that stuff. It's kind of the same as Darrow. He resents her for being a gold or rich or whatever the case is, and, he has all that childhood drama.
You felt like there was resentment between Darrow and Mustang? Like, he resented her?
No, he resents the idea of gold. Like, that's why he never wanted to, like, commit to her or be in a relationship with her at first, because he's like, this is my enemy. And then eventually that breaks, obviously.
I think the Jackal also hit it on the head, too, when he was talking to Darrow at one point. He says to him, pretty much, you tried gold on for size, and your problem is that you realized you like it, and now you feel bad. Because he does feel like a gold, and he feels superior to these other people. And he's like, shit. That's part of Darrow's character, is just the idea that he tried gold on for size and liked it. And I mean, that's the problem. You see that even in, I'm going to bring up The Wire, and I'm going to bring up The Wire again later, but we're on season 5, so we're almost finished. We're crushing it. But you see that with Mayor Carcetti when he becomes mayor. He's got all these ideas on the city council, but with power, like Spider-Man, great power comes great responsibility. Next thing you know, he gets that power and he can actually make changes. And then he all of a sudden is like, I'm going to try to focus on my own political career now because, holy smokes, I just became mayor. Like, now I could be governor. Yeah, so he turns the whole thing down. It's like Isildur. It's like Isildur when he gets the ring. He's supposed to throw the ring into Mount Doom. I think I'm going to keep it. Yeah, that's what happens when power touches you. So Darrow touched the power, and he was able to overcome it. So, unlike Darth Vader. I'm going to just keep going.
I think Darrow likes being a leader and being someone that takes responsibility or does his own thing. That's why he was a helldiver. All the responsibility was on his back. No one else was helping him. And that's why he just likes being a leader. So when he was a gold, he's a leader. So, I mean, that's just his role in life. So I don't think that's defined just by being a gold. I think he would be a leader no matter what situation he is. So I don't think that's necessarily the actual case. It's not like he's like, oh, I love being in... having this, like, status symbol. I think he's just like, no, I'm fucking leading shit because I know best.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. I think that's a good take, too. I just like mine better.
Okay.
You know, simple stats, really.
Here we go.
It was funny the way you phrased that because I totally agree on the it's not your fault. Once it's like, oh, okay, that's just a line. Not even thinking about it. Twice I'm like, oh, all right. Does that sound like Good Will Hunting? And then 3 times like, oh my God, you just straight up stole that from Good Will Hunting. But I think
it was
an homage.
homage.
It was definitely an homage.
How do you say that? Homage or homage?
I think if you're a douchebag, you say homage.
Yeah, so homage.
Also, they said,
just like I said,
they said doer a lot in this book. And I always thought it was dour. I always thought it was dour. And I was like,
I know what that means, but what does that mean for our listeners?
It just means like...
fancy?
Not sad, but a serious sad look on your face.
What am I thinking of? Debutante?
Debutante?
There we go, yeah.
There was a lot of different... And Pierce Brown has done this throughout the trilogy, so they're almost like Easter egg homages. So I agree that It's Not Your Fault was a little nod to Good Will Hunting, but there's a few other ones in here, whether it be people's names, and we've talked about this in other episodes, but they're fun little Easter eggs in like pop culture, which I found to be enjoyable. I hope they were purposeful. My next stock up, and we're going back-to-back epis with this one, so it's our first back-to-back stock up. It's Scott Evil. He's coming back into it for a different reason, because I just need to make note for all the bad guys and good guys out there. If the enemy is in chains at your feet that you've been hunting for years and they keep slipping out of your grasp, just kill them. I don't care if it's the Sovereign who wants to showcase Darrow's execution, or Darrow, and when you catch the Jackal, you want him to like face quote unquote justice. Both these guys are wily and have proven they can wiggle out of any trap. Just shoot them in the head. Boom, done. It's just like, just like Scott says, like, why are you feeding him? Why don't you just kill him? It's like, why don't you shoot him now? It's like, I have a gun. It's in my room. We'll shoot him together. It'll be fun. Bang, dead, done.
They did get Jackal at the end. He waited on trial and they got him.
Yeah, he only had to kill another 30 million people or 50 million people before that. I think they said like 10 nukes went off or like 12 nukes. The whole plan, like Jackal's whole plan, if he was just like dead, what are they going to do? I guess they could just have nuked everything, but...
I do like him pulling the tongue out at the end. That was great. That was
great final
kill.
Needed. Well, not kill, because he obviously hung later. But, yeah, taking his greatest weapon away from him, ripping his tongue out. Ugh. Ugh. Okay, my last one. The Tree of Souls from Avatar. Are you familiar with this film?
Yes.
Are you familiar with this particular tree?
Don't remember. I just saw the second one. Recently.
Oh, really?
Not recently. Whenever it came out.
Yeah. Terrible, right?
It's about what you expect. I didn't think it was bad. A lot of people were like, oh, it's amazing. And I was like, yeah, it was what I expected.
Interesting. Yeah. I watched the first half of it and never went back to watch the second half, which is...
Oh, I saw it in a movie theater. So I also think that it was 3D glasses. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, okay.
But the story, if you just read the story of either Avatars, you're like, wow, this is pretty basic. There's not a lot going on. It's not Red Rising. Let's put it that way.
The first one's like Fern Gully. It's exactly the same, which is a great film.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it. And then the second one had the kid in it, and the kid just threw me off. I was like, why is there this kid here? What is he doing? It was like a weird Jungle Book Mowgli situation. But the Tree of Souls is their like special god tree that not only they use to pray around and whatnot, but also can save people. Like it saves Sigourney Weaver, whoever gets shot, something like that, it saves them, brings them back to life, whatever the case is. Why do they not have this for the Obsidians on the poles of Mars? It just makes too much sense for Golds to put this in there, in my mind, because you're trying to create a society that believes that you're gods. And so you've done that by building this Norse mythology into their culture. I'm certain there must be some sort of like tree of life or something in Norse mythology. There's got to be something along those. But for this particular story, the way they use obsidians as warriors, and once you train an obsidian for a long time, they can be very useful. You don't really want them to die. It's like one of your best warriors. I know that they cull them at the early stages, and that's part of their thing, so I get that. But once you have a proven warrior, wouldn't you want to hold on to them? So why wouldn't you? And you also don't give them any of your medical Like, they don't have yellows. So why don't you instead put these like Tree of Souls or whatever type thing on the poles so that when obsidians get hurt, they can bring it to this tree and they think the gods are coming down and healing them. But really, it's just some of their normal medical technology. It seems too smart. And most importantly, it would have saved fucking Ragnar. I'm so sad that Ragnar died.
Yeah.
I thought it happened, but I wasn't sure because this is our second read through of this. You've read through this before, right?
Yeah, I didn't remember this book at all.
Yeah, I didn't either. So I thought someone big died, but then I was like, oh, that was Pax. So I was like, I don't know if it happens with Ragnar. And then it happened, and I was so upset. Why do you just let Ragnar go 1v1 on Aja when later in the story you're going to go like 4v1? It's Darrow just throwing Ragnar away, honestly. Couldn't stand for it.
Didn't care for it either. And just to answer your question, trees don't grow in the North and South Pole, so...
Yeah, that would be even cooler.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
If you give me a little igloo that cures people, now you're speaking my language. Now I get it.
It's just like you have to put your person in there and then close the door, and then all of a sudden like, a yellow walks out and just like gives them an IV, and they're back to life.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was really upset.
No,
about
I
the
agree
whole
with that.
Ragnar
That's
thing.
a good point. Do you think they would have rushed him there in time and actually saved him?
I would hope so. I honestly thought there was something that they were gonna do to save him. I was like, okay, he's okay. He's all right. And then he didn't. What can you do? All right, what do you got for Stockdown?
Stockdown Roke.
Oh yeah,
This is going back to our like original reasons for Stockdown.
I was about to say
Stockdown.
this is not a.
This is how we intended it. I think the first time we used it was when I used it for like a book that had multiple characters, and we were betting or determining which person was more likely to kill someone, and we were like, all right, I think this person's more likely, and then we read the second half, we stocked down them based off of what our projections are. That's what we really intended it for.
Oh, interesting.
And then the next episode, we just kept doing it, and I just would add stupid things in, and you're like, wait a minute, what? I was like, yeah, that's all right, don't worry about it.
And this is what it's evolved to on episode 98.
Yeah, we're finally figuring it out, I think.
But you're back to square one with this.
Yeah, no, it's paying homage to or homage to. But you lamented Rogue last episode, talking about
Rogue.
kind of. But this book, terrible. I honestly don't get why Darrow was even mourning him. It doesn't really make any sense to me. I know he believes people can change, and he thinks Rogue had a good heart. I get that. But he showed his true colors, pun intended, when even though I'm friends with you, Rogue says, and even though I have empathy for what happened to your wife, and even though you just beat me in this massive attack and showed your superiority to me, which I'm supposed to be the best at because I'm gold, I still think that all Reds deserve to be our slaves, and that what I did is best for our society, and I think I should be in this position because I deserve it.
Is that a direct quote? Did he say slave?
No, but like that's what they are. Like that's it. He's like, you're a lesser person than me, and you're born lesser, and that's what you deserve. And I'll kill myself before admitting to you that that's not the case. That's literally his principles. He just proved that. And then, so that's what he does. Wait, so this is the guy you're defending? I mean, that's no different than any terrible dictator in the history of the world that's tried to cleanse or do any genocides. It's like, that's the mindset they have.
Yeah, and for Roke, he's supposed to be a philosophical, a poet, these kind of things. He's supposed to be a little bit smarter. Can't he just take an idea of just how history worked and that this wasn't the case? It's not like this is how people were born into, you know what I mean? You're not born scrawny or whatever. It's like all these people go to get surgeries done or whatnot if you're gold and you actually have better meals and what. Just look at that and say, hey, you know what? Maybe there's a different world out there that could happen that would be better for everybody as a whole. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It all stems, it seems like, from when Quinn died. He's like, oh, when did it start? He's like, it started when Quinn died. It's like, that wasn't Darrow's fault. And he even said the jackal told me that he killed her. He straight up killed her. And now you're siding with him, but you're saying it started when Quinn died?
Yeah, it's illogical.
Yeah, it's totally illogical for someone that's supposed to be one of the most logical. And I know that Pierce Brown obviously doesn't just do these things by mistake. So it's supposed to show that some people can just be unmoving and they have their own principles that they're going to stand by and they're going to live and eventually die by them. But yeah, I don't know why Darrow's crying over it.
But I hate that they were like, he's sensitive. Like that was like what they always described him as, like, oh, he's sensitive. But he's not like actually, if you're sensitive, you like have empathy and you can walk a mile in someone else's shoes. He couldn't do that. The only reason he's sensitive is he's a baby back bitch. That's what he is. That's all he is.
Preach.
So
yeah, he's sensitive.
That was your boy
himself.
last ep, by the way. So that's on you.
My boy, Roke.
Yeah, you were like Roke deserved better last ep, and I was like, I don't know about that. We'll see now.
Well, I think I was of two minds that he deserved to be informed. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
He deserved to be informed.
I'm being facetious a bit. Okay. But yeah.
Yeah, because I don't want you to mince my words when someone just read Morningstar. My first stock down, and this has been a stock down before, or maybe a stock up, but nepotism. So stock down nepotism. Just because Severo is Ares' son, it doesn't make him the best choice of filling in his father's shoes once Fitchner gets got. You know, it's like because he's Fitchner's son, he just picks up the mantle of Ares. And I understand that Darrow's in a box and Mustang's on the lam, but there's got to be someone more equipped to managing the bureaucratic duties needed to house, feed, provide medical care for all these refugees in Tinos. It's just Severo deciding on this stuff while also managing his Howler duties. And that's what he's good at. Leave Severo as the leader of the Howlers and have them do all their runs. He can be the military leader too, even though he's not really good at strategy. He's a better tactical military person than a strategy military person. Like, he doesn't have the big picture. So especially when you've now opened up your ranks to, you know, blues and silvers and all the other colors of the rainbow, there's got to be someone in there that is part of the Sons that can handle some of this bureaucratic duties. So I'm actually kind of surprised he didn't want to throw it back to Darrow immediately, because I'd be like, hey, this ain't my job.
Well, he knew he wasn't right yet. So
that's true.
I will also say, too, that I was a little disappointed in Darrow. And Darrow, I think, is the amazing character the first two books. But this book, I thought at times, when he went off to go find Quicksilver, first of all, if you have doubts about his leadership before, you got to pull him aside and be like, hey, these are the things I think we got to change up. You know, as someone that's been in your shoes, here's what I would do differently. Take my advice if you want. If not, you know, whatever. But once you're on the actual mission and the chain of command is Severo as a leader and you're a follower, you do not question him in front of people. I did not like that at all. I mean, you can't do that. That's just like going to break the whole chain of command. What if someone did that to Darrow when he was doing it? And Severo would never do that to him, show him up in front of people. I didn't like it at all. Didn't care for Darrow. So even if he's leading me to my death, Severo is such a loyal person and has like earned that trust that I don't think you ever show him up like that in front of people. I don't like that.
Okay, interesting. You've been watching some Band of Brothers or something like that. You know, you're into it.
You don't salute the what's it? You don't salute the soldier. You salute the rank or something. So even if you don't agree with the decision, he's earned that rank.
Is that what they say to Sobel? And like F1?
Yeah, the end.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, but do you know it's onto your stock down, right? Yeah, what do you got?
I may have skipped one for stock up, but I can double negative this.
Yeah, negative.
Not using the Prisoner's Dilemma stock down.
Okay.
The Prisoner's Dilemma is pretty straightforward. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but they should have spent more time at the Institute learning this instead of, you know, I don't know what they're doing, skinning goats or whatever. And they reference that a few times. Like, I remember back in the good old days when we're like skinning goat's meat and like no one wanted to do it. I was like, what? I don't remember that. But anyways, they have Antonia and Thistle, and they're both imprisoned. And the whole point of the Prisoner's Dilemma is you give the prisoners options. And I can read it right from what the Prisoner's Dilemma is. The first line of the Prisoner's Dilemma is two people are imprisoned. The literally second line is each prisoner is in solitary confinement with no means of speaking to each other or exchanging messages. That's it. That's like literally the reason it works. And the whole point is you give them an option that's going to either fuck over the other person and they don't know if they're going to fuck them over. You just assume the other person's going to fuck you over, right? But instead they let them like chat it out, which is, why would you do that? They know they're getting recorded. They could have secret messages passing back and forth. So I'm like, why would they do this? It doesn't make any sense. And then, stupidly, Antonia kills the one person because that gives her more leverage. Mm-hmm. So yeah, read a book one time for me. Prisoner's Dilemma.
I like it. Once again, we're on the same page here because my next stock down was interplanetary interrogation tactics.
Also, this happens to The Wire a lot, too. They do a great job of showing that.
That was what I said. I told you I was going to talk about The Wire again.
Oh, okay, great.
So has Darrow not seen The Wire on the Holos?
Yeah,
like they don't have it on the Holos. They got everything else. They got everything
He
about
wasn't replaying that in his
ancient
head.
Roman civilization, but they don't have The Wire. Come on. So our boy Bunk Moreland, homicide detective and one of the greatest characters on The Wire, he knows how to play captives off each other. I knew nothing about this prisoner's dilemma. When you said that, I thought that was the railroad one where you like either kill one person or
I think it's similar mindset, but yeah.
the other 20 or whatever. But let's just talk about the McDonald's play, because I think that's in season 5, which is a great one. He's got two guys in different cells, separated. They don't know what the other one is saying. He tells one guy, your buddy gave you up. The guy's like, bullshit. And then he tells him his buddy's McDonald's order. And he's like, yeah, he's working with us. We got a McDonald's. Everything's nice and easy for him. And then has the other detective walk the guy with McDonald's by the first prisoner. And as that guy's eating his McDonald's, he's like, I'm still not going to tell you guys shit. I don't care if you have a McDonald's. But the other guy can't hear it. So then the first prisoner gives up everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's simple as that. And Darrow, on the other hand, leaves Antonia and Thistle in adjoining cells, not only in the same room, but adjoining cells. Like you said, they could be hand signaling, they could be talking to each other, whatever. But it allows Antonia to mess with Thistle's mind and eventually getting her close enough to be able to beat her to death. So, and on top of that, not 5 minutes before that, Thistle's like, I'm ready to give everything up. I'm good. I'm good here. And they're like,
Go pull her in.
Yeah, they're like, wait, let them talk it out. See what happens. It's like, she just said she's ready to give it up. What are you talking about? So, Darrow knows a lot of stuff, but he does not know how to interrogate. That's for sure. So since we both burned that, I'll go to my next one, which is simply a society that films everything stock down. So I know this is a big thing just in the world now, is how societies have cameras on every corner, and your cell phones have cameras that can tap into those if that's what people are saying. Who knows what people say on the internet? But either way, potentially not the right answer for those that are seeking power, because for Cassius to do his heel turn and then his reverse heel turn, all Darrow needs to do is give Cassius this hollow of Cassius's the Bologna family just being brutally murdered, women and children. We got what's that, Little Big Top or Little Round Top? What's that massacre? I don't know. Either way,
Boston Massacre.
Sure, that one. But yeah, it's like he just gives it this hollow, which why was it being filmed in the first place? Who's filming them murdering children? But hey, you know what? A society that films everything, they got a hollow of it, give it to Cassius, and now he's back on your side.
Can you explain the history of that? I didn't, like, that. This is way back when? Or
the Boston Massacre? So yeah, it was pre-1776.
Yeah.
It was right outside Post Office Square. And there's an exchange building, and some Bostonians got shot. They were throwing snowballs and stuff at
well, there's two different sides of
they
it.
were
That was the whole
throwing
point of that,
snowballs.
right? Yeah. No, you're on the British side? Wow.
Yeah, well, John Adams defended those Brits, and I think he got them off.
And then were they also innocent?
God, I knew you were going to do that.
We're
trying to break some U.S. history here. Sorry, what did you want me to explain? How that worked?
The massacre that he was watching, was that when was that? Or like, what was? I didn't understand the context of that.
I think it was the night that he and Cassius got in their duel, when like everything was going crazy. Did they kill his whole family and say, or was it before that?
So I don't know. I thought that was his grandparents and like, or parents or whatever that happened to. I don't know. I that's why I didn't understand. I didn't know if you knew.
Yeah, it happened to like his uncles and nieces and nephews and basically the whole Bologna family. Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
Either way, it happened. Did you have a favorite scene? So, I mean, I wouldn't say that this book, I mean, obviously there's lots of scenes in it. There's tons of them to choose from, and we can go through those. The thing I liked, or one of the things I liked about this book, and kind of all the other ones in general, is that things happen somewhat linearly. There's not a bunch of jumping back and forth to different places. Mm-hmm. And there's very defined things that are happening. So maybe this makes it like a YA book, but you got Darrow's imprisonment and his escape, the whole situation on Tinos, then Phobos when they go to capture Quicksilver, like we talked about before, then allying with the Obsidians, the Moon Lords in the Outer Rim, and the ensuing space battle. And then you got Luna, where Cassius shows as he's a double agent, and the fall of the Sovereign and the Jackal. That's pretty much it. And when we're on Mars with the Obsidians, we're not like jumping back and forth between like what Severo's doing and then what Darrow's doing and then back to what Severo's doing. It's just here's the story, then they go back and they link up with Severo. We kind of catch up at what's been going on. It's kind of
like a first person narrative without the first person.
It is first person. It is Darrow's perspective.
Does he say I? Oh, I guess he does.
Yeah.
Wait, does he?
The only part that's he cheated is the whole Cassius betrayal where they're pretending in Darrow's head.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, Severo's dead. Severo's dead. Oh, my God. But he knows Severo's not dead. But you need that. So I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But then obviously within those different sections of the book, there's scenes in there, which are great. So did you have any specific one that you liked? You know, potentially the scene at the end on Luna or the battle with Aja or anything on Mars? What do you got?
Yeah, for me, the hanging scene was the best. I thought when there's basically a riot in the ship, and then
that hanging scene.
Yeah, they're trying to hang Cassius. Severo comes up and he's like wild eyed, and he's like, I've killed so many people. I've done all these things. And he's like, and hang me, and he just hangs himself. I was like, oh shit! And it was a nice callback to the first book when Darrow did that. So he kind of took notes from Darrow on the not hanging himself but getting whipped, because like he's like, I'm responsible for this as well. I mean, I love both. Those are like such good leadership traits, and being like, hey, listen, if you're gonna get mad at someone, then you get mad at me also, or whatnot. So I love that. I thought, again, you never see it coming, and I knew the scenes, and I was like, I can't believe Severo would do this, and I'm like, yeah, let's go Severo, you know, like
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Man, I loved it.
I couldn't agree with you more. Great callback to the whipping, because it is so much like that. Because Severus saying, oh, murdering's not allowed in this society, right? Yeah. Okay, we should hang all murderers. Yeah. Well, I'm a murderer. What do you do to me? Boom. It was awesome. And I think as a reader, the fun part is in your mind running from, like, Severo, what the hell are you doing? To, like, he's not going to do this. To, oh wait, he's doing this for a purpose. You know, figuring that out is really fun.
A lot of those big riling speeches they're just words. When someone actually just hangs themselves, that's like, oh, that's a pretty cool scene.
Yeah, he's screaming freedom while his guts are getting pulled out.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I really liked that one as well. And then in general for me, anything that happened on the ice with the Obsidian is great, whether that be the cannibal scene, which I thought was super cool, because it's like all of a sudden Mustang and Darrow are in this any space crashes, any sort of when there's a spaceship and shit's going on around it but it's on the ground. I'm into it, especially when there's cannibals involved.
I was just picturing Hoth from Star Wars that whole time too.
Same,
okay,
100%.
We're just on the same page, yeah.
And back to, actually, because you said Star Wars, when you first said the hanging, I thought you meant the jackals hanging, which in like a weird way is like that metal scene in Star Wars, A New Hope. Well, just because it's like, it's not really a scene. It's more of just like everyone.
Post credits almost.
Yeah, it's like a credit type scene. I know obviously the jackal isn't, and I was like, wait, that's your favorite scene? That's weird. But either way, I think also when they kill the golds that are pretending to be Norsemen, I like that as well. And then I guess the fight at the end was pretty fun. Just wondering like how that's going to play out. I guess let's talk about that. Did you remember that Cassius did the double agent thing?
Well, the problem is I can just go right into one of my hates, because was the thing, is like, I just didn't believe that Cassius would do that. If that were a Roke, it would make more sense to me, that he was able to flip based off what you said last book, and based on what we were kind of thinking Roke as someone that's like logical, can be kind of swayed with good argument. Where Cassius was the dude that was holding a grudge because Darrow had to kill his brother in a institute that set it up where he had to kill his brother. Like, it wasn't like he sought him out and killed him. It was just it was luck. It was dumb luck. It was chance. It had nothing to do with anything personal. Yet he's like holding a grudge. His whole family's holding a grudge over that. It's so illogical. It doesn't make any sense, right? So that same guy then viewing something and being like, you know what, I'm going to go against everything I believe in all of society because I saw this video. I get that he's very family oriented, but at the same time, I don't think he'd be anti-gold all of a sudden because of that. It's just, I don't know. That was the reason why I didn't think that was going to happen at the end, because I was like, Cassius is such a dickhead. There's no way he's actually going to see the light.
I can understand that. I think the Julian thing, I can understand how Cassius would hold that against Darrow. It's like you have to hold it against someone, and to hold it against your own society would be immediately blaming them for it, which is also how he's able to turn at the end, because once he starts seeing other stuff, he even says when he has Lysander, the world needed Julian. He's agreeing with what Darrow said the whole time.
Yeah.
Just the idea that this weak person who just wanted like love and cared for other people, that he's able to just be thrown away by the society. Like, obviously something's broken, but it took something else to turn him, which is Cassius is almost like a knight from the Middle Ages, or at least our idea of them, which is about duty and honor and all of these, and gallantry and all this stuff. And so that's the person he is, and that's what he believes in. And then he gets turned by Darrow by, you know, pretty much lying to him, which is like, all right, that's not honorable. So he goes through that. And then even with the Sovereign at the end, he says, like, why did you turn? It's like, because you lied. And it was about his family. But the idea of honor just got like the Golds are more honorable, just got thrown out the window. And now he's able to let the rest of those ideas shuffle in.
That's a good point. Yeah.
We had a couple new characters. Sephi the Quiet, her mom, I can't remember what the mom's name was. She didn't work out for very long. We got Regulus Au's son, a.k.a. Quicksilver, Holiday T. Nakamura, and her brother Trig. Any new characters that became favorites for you, or were they just ancillary?
I thought the new characters were kind of meh. Holiday didn't really have a distinct personality. She's kind of just a foot soldier that was kind of there.
She had some comic relief moments.
Yeah, and I didn't really understand Quicksilver. And then they also introduced, like, the person that was the head of Mustang's ship. They're like, I have this person, and I didn't even know who that person was. Yeah, who is that?
That's the blue that Darrow put in power in Golden Sun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, who's Orion?
I mean, I guess you got the Moon Lord too, who had an Australian accent, which I really liked. The voice actor did an Australian accent for him.
But yeah, no, I didn't think any of them like really kind of move the needle. Although I will say one thing which was only very shortly in the book was the Bone Riders.
Oh,
all right, those are fucking awesome. All right, let's just be honest. They're wearing bones and just going around like being like, "Let's go, Bone Riders." I was like, all right, that's sick. I would like a book just on them. Honestly, that was awesome.
He's good with names too, Pierce Brown. You know, whether that be like Iron Rain or Bone Riders. Like it sounds badass when it could really sound not badass, if you know what I mean.
I'm just thinking Nick Cage doing the Gone in 60 Seconds, Let's Ride thing. That's like their motto.
Yeah. Ugh. Like I picture these guys with motorcycle spaceships.
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking the whole time. Just like the leather jackets with both the bone chains hanging on them somehow. I don't know. They had leather jackets on though. It made sense to me.
I get why you'd follow the Jackal if once you killed someone, he presented you with like ornate bones to wear. Yeah, I kind of agree. I thought Sephi was kind of unfortunate considering how robust of a character Ragnar was. And I know she doesn't have enough screen time per se to really become a character, but she has like one moment, which is really just that leads to the hanging, and then her afterwards, you know, and I guess a little bit on the rocks, but like not really, like on the ice. So yeah, and Quicksilver, I agree. Just it explained a lot. He was very good for explaining how the Sons of Ares could actually function. Like obviously they need some sort of financial backing. And so like that makes too much sense. So I appreciated that because it makes the story more plausible. But outside of that, he wasn't really much. So I was okay with Holiday. And honestly, maybe the only reason why, because she's from Earth, the narrator did an American accent for her, and I thought it was kind of funny. So
yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. I did enjoy also, because going back to scenes though, I did enjoy the escape with them when they're trying to get Darrow off, and like her brother just gets got. It's like, whoa, okay, we're starting off with a bang. Like I thought this guy was going to be a character. So see ya. All right, since you already burned some hates, let's jump into love-hate. What'd you love about it before you start getting negative all over again? Burning 2 hates right there.
Once again, I mean, there's so many unique and amazing action sequences. I feel like a lot of the books we read, you kind of can predict or have some sort of inkling of what's coming up next. And we read this book before, and I was like, what's happened? I'm like on the edge of my seat. I got to the point when there was 2 or 3 hours left in the audiobook where I would listen to it less because I was so upset I was going to be ending it. Like, that's how good the book is.
Oh, really?
Like,
it HP'd you. You got Harry Pottered by this thing?
Yeah. I'm doing the same thing with Harry Potter. I'm starting it, and I'm, like, getting that, like, nostalgia coming back, and I'm like, oh, no, I don't want to read this so fast. Like, I got to put it down for a little bit.
I was really surprised you said you were starting it already, because we still have another epi to do. Like, we're not going to do it for a couple of weeks,
I know.
potentially.
That's why I've been kind of doing small doses. I don't want to get addicted yet,
Yeah.
you know. So
I would already be on like book 4 if I had already popped it open.
You're already injecting it full into your veins. That's what I'm just smoking it. I'm not actually injecting it yet. It's healthier, right? That's how it works.
But so this one got you in the feels.
Oh no, it's coming to an end. So I was slow playing the end of it pretty hard. Like I texted you, I was like 4 days in. I was like through the first 15 hours. I was like, oh, we ready to do this one? You're like, what? I was like,
yeah,
no.
You did. Usually it's the other way around outside of football season. But yeah, I agree. You started by saying the action sequences, and I feel like he just writes those really well. Even at the end when it's a 4v1 fight against Aja. You would think that would be kind of hard to visualize or whatnot, but the way he wrote it, it's like you could kind of see the whole battle, the whole fight going down. It's almost like Return of the Jedi or whatnot, when in the background you're sure like out of these holes is like a whole space battle going on around them as they're doing this thing. So yeah, I really enjoyed all the different, you know, quote unquote set pieces or whatnot that were in there. Probably my biggest love is the character growth that we see for some of our biggest characters in this one. And because we spent so much time with them in the past, and we know he does such a good job at this too, of like, you know, advancing these characters. But Victra joining the Howlers when Darrow takes her out of the cave, and then they have a really good conversation that leads her to join him. And they have another conversation even later when she's like, you know, I didn't join because of you, you know, or she originally says revenge against her sister, but it's more than that for her. And we see that in the relationship she has with Severo. And speaking about Severo, his speech, which we already talked about, was awesome. That, like, talk about growth of a character, Severo becoming just kind of this like war leader to now a leader was great to see. And then I did like Cassius coming back into the fold. I thought it made sense. And I led that earlier asking if you saw it coming. And I was asking because I wasn't sure if I remembered it or not. And I guess this might be one of my hates. I wasn't sure if I remembered it or not. I didn't think so, but I thought it was so obvious leading up to it that he was going to turn back. I don't know why. But after he shot Severo, I was like, holy smokes, I cannot believe that happened. Like, what? And then I was like, oh, Pierce, like, that's badass that you just went and killed Severo like that. And then maybe like 5 pages later, I was like, wait, I remember the Hemanthus oil or whatever that Darrow did. And I've seen, what do they call those ketchup packets or whatever, vests that they put on in movies? Squibs.
Those are people that can't do magic, right?
Yeah, they are too. Yeah, it's Harry Potter thing. They're both.
Nice. We're back.
But yeah, so I kind of saw that coming. So maybe that's a hate of mine is I wish I was a little more surprised. But I guess we're just doing loves, hates at the same time. Do you have a love or hate?
I actually thought the ending, well, after that fact, was good because the society isn't perfect. It's like still fractured in some ways. Mm-hmm. It was a nice little like, hey, we're coming together. We're going to start making some changes. But it wasn't. And the Reds will rise up and everything will change. I did think that it kind of shows that there's not just like this perfect ending or society that can just change immediately. It's like there's still going to be tons of issues. It's just now different issues. But I thought it was cool.
Yeah, and they couldn't solve that in 3 books. And it's said so much by Mustang and other characters of just like, well, what's your plan for after? Like, yes, Darrow, we know you can wage war, but can you do it without having a SlingBlade in your hand? Can you rule? Even though they don't want him to rule, like, what's your vision for the future? So, one, it helps Pierce like open up 3 more books in this series, which if you're inclined, you can go read. I'm sure they're great. But also, yeah, it's like the end of A New Hope, like the metal scene we were talking about. Because yeah, it's a great moment, but there's still a lot of bad out there and a lot to still be done, especially when it comes to the people. But hey, if you're a miner, you don't have to worry about laurels. Like, you do your job, you get medical care, and you go home, you just live your life. Yeah, it's funny that you said the ending, because that was actually one of the hates of mine. And not necessarily that aspect of it. I just thought in the end, in general, it was too much of a happy ending for me for how brutal this book was. And then just in the people that die. I mean, I'm not saying kill off main characters necessarily, but I don't know. There could have been something worse and then when you put at the end, Mustang says, "Oh, we have a son." It's like, okay, like I got it. Like, is everything going right for
I want to
Dara
know
at
the
this
size
point?
of that kid because he's gonna be another Severo. He's gonna be half size, right?
Well, I was thinking about this too, which is interesting because for Severo's parents, they had to mess with the body parts. You know, they had to carve the body parts so that the genetic systems would work. It's just goes to show how thorough Mickey was, that not only was he creating this super advanced gold that could, you know, dominate these other teenagers, but he was like, I might as well put some functioning semen in this guy because ladies are going to want him. And in the future, you know, I should figure this one out. So yeah, Mickey's definitely the best carver. That's for sure. Basically, my point is that I think that it's a fully grown gold. Like Mickey.
Oh, okay.
Mickey's
like
got all
the genetics. He changed the genetic code, not just the.
Yeah, like he
that
fixed
makes sense.
something in there or put some nano semen in there, whatever he's doing.
I didn't mind that ending because you could go the opposite direction, what we saw with Game of Thrones, where it's like, well, I need to make such crazy ending because everyone expects it from me. It's that I'll do the stupidest shit ever.
Yeah.
Instead of just, no one's going to complain if you have just a HP coming up. There's definitely a good ending, right? There's not like, it's not perfect, but it's not a terrible ending, and that's fine. You could really fuck it up way worse. I wasn't that upset.
I guess at the same time, there was like 12 nukes dropped. So
everyone who goes home happy. Yeah, we're good.
There's like 50 million people dead and however many blacked out and starving and yeah, all that stuff. Yeah. Okay.
I will say, which was one of my hates, is I almost wished, I mean, this is bad, but I wish early on in the book something fired Dara up because I feel like he didn't have that hunger that he's had in the first two books where he's like, I gotta do this.
Yeah.
You almost needed Mustang to get killed or something like that early on in this book where he's like, now I gotta come back and just be an absolute psychopath again. Because that's the Dara I missed.
That's what living solo in a box will do to you for 9 months. You know, you
Yeah,
lose the fire in your
little
belly. Solitary confinement. Not great. Yeah, so it's got a 4.52 or something on Goodreads, which is wild. That, you know, I that might be the highest we've ever read, you know, especially with some with this many reviews. I think Golden Sun had like a 4.48. And Red Rising had like a 4.25, let's say.
I don't know why Red Rising was so. I think we talked about though, like the reason that the third one is so high is because if you're reading the third one, you're a huge fan at that point. You're not going to read 3 books of a book you don't like. You're narrowing it down to the biggest fans, and then as long as it's a good book, you're going to say it's, you know.
Well, I think also what's interesting is that from what I've gathered from people who have read this and just like through reviews and whatnot, I haven't talked to that many people, let's say, but most think that this is the best book, Golden Sun is the second best book, and Red Rising is the worst book.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, because I like Red Rising the most.
Yeah,
it's just
I agree.
Such a fun little story that, you know, and this obviously is a bigger deal, but
I think their order of release, Red Rising first. I think this one was third, but at the same time, there's only so many twists and turns and things you can do, and like even this book was still had them, but I don't think there's like that much of a gap between all of them. But I still think that would be the order for me. What about you?
1-3-2 for me. Yeah, I like this better than Golden Sun. I think the Cassius turn and the Severus stuff was great. I mean, we got some good Ragnar, but we didn't get Ragnar. If you could put Ragnar's best from 2 into this, like, oh my god, this would be this might be number 1 for me overall. All right, so that was Morning Star. We finished our second trilogy ever. Keith, pat on the back, proud of you. And it's really just getting us ready for what do you call a series with 7 books? Trilogies 3?
Set something?
Septology. Either way. Keith, would you recommend Morning Star to our listeners?
Yeah, I still think I would tell any person this is a series that's right up there with Harry Potter in terms of my favorite reads. I recommend it all the time. So yeah, I would continue to do that. Second read through is just as enjoyable. Can't wait to forget this in 5 years and do it again.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that in our next series because it's great when you like a book so much and then you totally forget it and you're able to go back and read it with mostly fresh eyes. It's so enjoyable, and it's a strategy I've used before, and I will definitely use it again with this series. I'll probably be like, I want to read, at some point in the future, I'll want to read the next trilogy, but I'll be like, oh wait, what happened in that first one? Then I'll start at Red Rising and I'll do it all over again. So that's generally how I feel about it. Keith, it's been fun. What do we have coming up next?
We're doing the TV show for Shōgun. So that'll be next.
So sorry.
And then Harry Potter, we're going to do... Are we still planning to do read the book, then do the movie, then read the next book, then do the movie? Or how do you
I think
want to do
we
that?
have to. Yeah, especially the fact that you haven't seen the movies. I need an immediate take after you've read the book.
Give it here, Malfoy. Yeah, that's the only thing I've seen.
Or I'll knock you off your boom. Trevor!
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, we're doing that. So that's 14 episodes basically planned out.
Yeah, that'll probably take us through the summer.
It's the summer, so it's perfect. Yeah,
That's
really good.
If you're not reading Harry Potter this summer, what is wrong with you? Because that's what I'll be doing. So Keith, it's been fun doing this trilogy with you. I'm excited for some Shōgun, even though I need to watch some epis, and I'm so excited for Harry Potter. It's like we're opening and closing yearbooks left and right over here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is a good yearbook to open.
All right, it's been fun.
Good stuff.
Bye now.